Kenya mourns the death of Joe Kadenge, considered one of the most decorated players in the country's history. All that also is inside the Standard on page 39 this morning. The Star is up next, and this is what is on the front page of the Star this morning. Why state will not hire new civil servants? This is what Margaret Kobia, the CS of the Youth and Gender and Public Service, CS Margaret Kobia speaks to the Star on burning issues. We're not going to retrench, but rely on natural attrition like retirement. The story continues on page 4 and 5 of the Star. And Sharks maul mighty Everton at Kasarani. It is all smiles here. Sports CS Amina Mohammed hands over the Sports Pesa Trophy to Kariobangi Sharks captain Eric Juma, flanked by Sports Pesa CEO Ronald Karauri and PS Kirimi Kaberia, and also FKF President Nick Mwenda. This story continues on page 35 of the Star this morning. Also, widow lives on rooftop after being kicked out of her home. It's been a tough life of Lillian Kombo in the past 2 weeks after betrayal by her in-laws and 2 lawyers following death of her husband. You can follow the story on page 3. Also, Uhuru mourns legend Kadenge. This story continues on page 34 of the Star this morning. MPs probe wrongful 4 billion shillings drought authority audit query. Members of Parliament have questioned a wrongful 4 billion shillings query to the National Drought Management Authority by the Office of the President. This story tucked away on page 8 of the Star this morning. Outspoken courier hits out at DP Ruto and ex-PM, I should say, that is ex-PM Raila. Gatundu South Member of Parliament Moses Kuria has urged Deputy President William Ruto and ODM leader Raila Odinga to tone down personal attacks against each other. And you can follow this story on page 10 of the Star this morning. People Daily is up next, and this is what is holding for us this morning. New plot hatched to fix key Ruto MPs. There's a new plot that is hatched to fix key Ruto MPs. It's all about conspiracy. Attempt to dislodge Tanga legislators from House committees hits a snag as scheme unravels. This story continues on page 2 of the People Daily this morning. Also, fears of cost of unga going up. Agriculture Ministry says country needs to import 12.5 million bags of maize, but SFROB insists 6 million bags will be enough. Follow that inside the Business Daily on the Business Hub. Also, tributes pour in as Kadenge takes final bow. This story continues on page 6 and 7 of the People Daily. Muthaiga OCS grilled over Itumbi luxury claim. DCI probes top cop after social media photos of suspects in police cells wallowing in comfort. This story continues on page 4 of the People Daily. And Sharks stun Everton, win Sports Pesa match. They are here celebrating. Kariobangi Sharks players celebrating after beating English Premier League side Everton FC at Kasarani Stadium yesterday. All that also in the sports segment of the People Daily this morning. Let's see what Taifa Leo is holding for us. Atatemesha kambi ya Ruto. Mamlaka kubwa alionao Kibicho yazua wasiwasi. Atamvuruga naibu rais kisiasa. That is what is a splash today, and also what the flag is reading on top there. This story continues on page 2 of Taifa Leo. Kini cha wasiwasi ahofiwa na njama ya kuzima Ruto kisiasa 2022. Wasiwasi atavunja Jubilee kugawanya serikali. Uhuru akosolewa kwa kumpa mamlaka makuu. Pendekezo apigwe msasa bungeni. That is what we have inside the Taifa Leo this morning. But of course, this is the face of the Principal Secretary, Ministry of Interior, Karanja Kibicho. You can follow the story on page 2 of Taifa Leo this morning. Also, Sogora wa soka ya Kenya aga dunia. All that is tucked on page 24. Morning, Joe Kadenge and Tanga yamwekea Uhuru pressure zaidi. Follow the story on page 3 of Taifa Leo this morning. We buckle down to business and we pick up the Business Daily. This is what is on the front page of the Business Daily this morning. New state agency to monitor staff layoffs. New state agency to monitor staff layoffs is what is a splash this morning. Employers face fines and jail time for failure to submit recruitment and redundancy records to the National Employment Authority, which wants to create a labor database. A new state agency is set to keep track of employee recruitment and layoffs data in both private and public corporations in a move intended to provide more accurate national labour statistics. The National Employment Authority, formed through an Act of Parliament, has put on notice employers with a workforce of more than 25 to submit records on vacancies, abolished positions and job terminations within 2 weeks from the time such decisions are taken. Follow the story on page 4 of the Business Daily today. Kenyans employed in the formal sector also. We have a survey here. According to the economic survey, on only 2.765 million Kenyans were employed in the formal sector as at 2018. There you have the figures from 2000 up to 2018, how it has risen. Also still on the front page of the Business Daily this morning, there is a sidebar story here. Taxpayers lose 870 million shillings in botched cooking gas subsidy plan. Remember this subsidy plan that was a mooted idea last year. It says here Kenyan taxpayers lost more than 870 million shillings in the botched Ministry of Petroleum's plan to provide poor homes with cheaper cooking fuel, a new audit has shown. The audit says taxpayers did not get value for money arising from shortcomings in the implementation of the Mwananchi gas project under the plan, which was already piloted in Machakos and Kajiado counties. Government was expected to buy about 1 million new gas cylinders and cookers for distribution. This story continues on page 4 of the Business Daily this morning. Also, women youth to get state loans at 6% interest. Women, youth and small business owners will get loans from the state at 6% interest under the new Biashara Kenya Fund that will this year receive 2 billion shillings to start operations. The Treasury revealed terms of the loan through Biashara Kenya Fund regulations, which have been tabled in Parliament for approval and will lead to the merger of Wezo Fund, Youth Enterprise Development Fund and Women Enterprise Fund. At 6%, the groups will borrow at half the prevailing commercial lending rate of 13%, a cap set by the central bank. And this story continues on page 4 of the Business Daily this morning. Also, close shave. There's a standalone picture here. This is an Impala crossing the road in front of a fast-approaching rally car during the second day of the safari rally at Siosambu Ranch near Naivasha. This year's competition was flagged off by President Uhuru Kenyatta in Nairobi on Friday and ended yesterday. This picture courtesy of AFP. Also, on the ticker today, oil dealers eye higher margins. Oil marketers are expecting the government to raise their profit margins this year, a move that will boost their earnings. This story continues on page 7 of the Business Daily. And also 5,000 is the digit. That is a fine for loitering in KRA offices after it was listed as protected area. So beware. If you don't have any business around KRA, please don't go there. 5,000 shillings is a fine for you loitering in KRA offices after it was listed as a protected area. Also, Kenya diaspora dwarfs regional remittances. Kenya's diaspora remittances in 2018 stood at 280 billion shillings, eclipsing the 242 billion shillings sent to the rest of Eastern Africa, comprising Uganda, Tanzania, Rwanda, Burundi, South Sudan, and Ethiopia. And you can follow the story on page 12 and 13 of the Business Daily this morning. We cross borders now. We head to Tanzania and pick up the Citizen. Government still in talks on free trade area. Government still in talks on free trade area is what is on the front page of the Citizen this morning in Tanzania. It says Industry and Trade Minister says the government is still holding talks, an internal consultation before signing the agreement, adding that it is just a matter before Tanzania inks the deal. Remember, of course, this has now kicked off. Yesterday was a big day also for the Africa Free Continental Trade Area. And Tanzania has not yet ratified, still slow on the uptake. Other countries have done so. We were waiting for more, that particular threshold of 24 countries or 25 countries, and that has happened so far. And this story continues on page 2 of the Citizen. They're still mulling over this. The government is playing an active role in the AfCFTA or AfTA process. You can follow the story on page 2 of the Citizen this morning. Tanzania woos more investors from China as delegation visits. The government courted investors from China's Shandong province at the weekend, detailing 3 major reasons why Tanzania should be the preferred destination. You can follow the story inside the Citizen if you're waking up in Tanzania. Also, visitors throng ministry's pavilion at DITF. These are visitors, I should say, gathering outside the Ministry of Natural Resources and Tourism Pavilion at the 43rd Dar es Salaam International Trade Fair yesterday. The pavilion where live wild animals were among the exhibits on display is among the most popular exhibition sites at the DITF, drawing thousands of visitors every year. You can follow the story, and it says the fair is scheduled to end on July the 13th. Lighter side of Magufuli Kenyatta meeting in Chato. You can read that particular story on page 3 of the Citizen in Tanzania. Mwananchi is up next, and this is what you're waking up to on the front page of Mwananchi. Daktari Bashiru, this is what he says: CCM imeanza kutesti mitambo Kinjaro. CCM imeanza kutesti mitambo Kinjaro. You can follow the story on page 4 of Mwananchi. Also, marufuku ya biashara ya visu mapanga yatangazwa tena da is another story that you can follow on page 4 of the Mwananchi in Tanzania. Sabasaba ya ubinifu ya suluhisho la kero tofauti. You can follow this story on page 2 of the Mwananchi. If you're waking up in Tanzania this morning, let's head over now to Uganda and pick up the Daily Monitor for us. Why government will not get investor for UTL now? Why government will not get investor for UTL now? Sleeping giant, Uganda Telecom Limited, has been under administration deed for the last 2 years and has struggled with debts since Libyans, the majority shareholders, left in 2017. Find all the details tucked away on page 4 of the Daily Monitor in Uganda. Why Cranes coach Debarl is leaving. You can see him here being celebrated by the Cranes, Uganda Cranes players, through coach Sebastian Debarl in the air after a past match at Mandela National Stadium, Nambole. Debarl has called time on his future with the Cranes after the national team staged an impressive show at the ongoing Africa Cup of Nations tournament in Egypt. You can follow that story also on page 44 of the Daily Monitor. Owner of Arua Hotel, army raided over Bobby Wine is dead. Owner of Arua Hotel, army raided over Bobby Wine is dead. That is the story you can follow on page 3. Also, region mourns Kenya soccer star Kadenge. That story continues on page 2 also of the Daily Monitor in Uganda. Eritreans smuggled into Uganda. Find how they were smuggled into Uganda. Page 32 and 33 of the Daily Monitor holds that particular story this morning. Let's see also what is happening in Rwanda. We pick up now the New Times in Rwanda. Africa to commence trading under AfCFTA in July 2020. The African Continental Free Trade was launched yesterday at the 12th Extraordinary Summit of the African Union in Niamey, Niger. President Paul Kagame described the launch of the operational phase of the African Continental Free Trade Area as a significant milestone for the continent and the African Union. President Kagame said Rwanda was in full agreement of the report by Niger's President Muhammadu Issoufou on the way forward on the agreement. Among the proposals in the report include catering for the interests of small to medium cross-border traders by simplifying trade regimes applicable to them. This story continues on page 2 of the New Times in Rwanda. See a related picture as well. This is President Paul Kagame and other African leaders after the launch of the African Continental Free Trade Area in Niamey, Niger yesterday. The deal is expected to create 3.4 trillion shillings, trillion dollars actually, economic bloc and spur development. All that also is tucked away on page 2 of the New Times this morning. Ugandans sue for inconvenience, Rwandans for torture. That story, find all the details on page 18 of the New Times this week. Not this week, but today. But this week we have the East African for you, and this is the East African. Cautious optimism as Africa unveils $3 trillion trading bloc. Devil in the details. Experts say the success of the project will depend on handling of rules of origin and tariff concessions. We'll give you also the details of this later in the program this morning. Still on the front page of the East African, EAC also, it says he is struggling. I'll give you the details in a moment. EAC is struggling to pay staff. State of affairs blamed on delays and non-remittance of budget support by partner states. That is the story that you want to follow by Fredo Watch. You have the full report on page 3. And Burundi needs financial help. At every opportunity, Burundi President Pierre Nkurunziza rallies his country of 11.8 million people around how, despite increased isolation by donors and the international community, the government continues running its affairs uninterrupted. Follow this story on page 89 of the East African this week. Also, Lamu coal train now stopped in its tracks. Court says ESA of Lamu plant was illegal and orders it to be scrapped. Also, major retailer Chuppies hits Stormy Waters. Major retailer Chuppies hits Stormy Waters CEO thrown overboard after saying Mogai should leave, and Kenyan banks rule brokerage purchases. With NSE boom long over, the firms are performing poorly. Find all that tucked away inside the markets of the East African this week. Have you grabbed also a copy of the Wall Street Journal? Well, this is the weekend edition. The time zones notwithstanding, this is what is holding for us this morning. Jobs report allays fears of slowdown. Also, administration presses bid on census question, and fast-track drugs once for emergencies become norm. And 15-year-old thrills Wimbledon. Who is this? This is Cory Koko. Golf of the US beat Slovenia's Polana Hagok on Friday, becoming the youngest player to reach the tennis tournament's fourth round since Jennifer Capriati in 1991. Follow the story also on page 14 of the Wall Street Journal. Just want to show also what is the letters on that particular cover of the Wall Street Journal from the internet. And this is what we have there. Wall Street Journal. I will show you that momentarily, just to give you an update what is the recent stories there on the Wall Street Journal from their webpage. That is Deutsche Bank to exit global equities trading business, right? That is what you can see. We'll just project that much in a short while. Well, I'll show you the Business Daily or the Times. That I will show you much later. But the Times, if you've not picked your latest copy, this is how it looks. Finished 2026, the rest to complete Sagrada Familia, Barcelona's perpetually in progress masterpiece. There, this is the story by Lisa Abend, and you can read all the details inside the recent copy of the Time magazine this morning. Right, I want to hark you back into history as well. If you've not seen this particular picture, but I'll show you in a moment. And also show you the Daily Nation way back in 1964, how it looked then. Today is the 8th. And this is how the Daily Nation looked in 1963. We join you in your struggle. President Julius Nyerere of Tanganyika, leaving Washington this morning after 2 days of extensive talks with President Kennedy, was assured that the United States will continue to support him in his efforts for a social and economic revolution in his country. America tells Dr. Nyerere will join you in your struggle This is how the Daily Nation looked then in 1963. Also, Mr. Paul Ngei, week of crisis for Mr. Ngei. It says here, Mombasa branch of APP will meet in a general council on Saturday this week to decide either to pass a vote of confidence in the party president, Mr. Paul Ngei, or declare their intention to join KANU government. This was a sidebar story there in 1963. Zanzibar Premier warns hooligans. The Prime Minister of Zanzibar, Sheikh Mohammed Shamte, has expressed the need for unity and has warned that hooliganism will not be tolerated. In a broadcast to the nation, the Prime Minister said once an individual is elected to the National Assembly, he represents all the people, whether they voted for him or not, and he has their welfare at heart. That was in 1963. Still there. Big welcome planned for Mr. Kenyatta is a sidebar story there. The Prime Minister, Mr. Jomo Kenyatta, will pay an official visit to Kisii and Kisumu in the Western region next week. He is traveling by road, calling at Londiani on the way, and he is expected to spend Saturday and Sunday in the region. Yesterday it was reported from Kisumu that work has started on municipal decoration. Mr. Kenyatta is expected to reach the Nyanza boundary at about 10 a.m. on Saturday. That was way back in 1963. Also, still from our archives, I can show you also this particular picture that we have for you this morning. Maybe you can tell us who this is, I should say. Still loading. All right, there we go. Okay. All right, so then maybe I'll throw this to a panelist. I know Richard Onyonka is a history buff, so you can pick out some of these people who are in this picture this morning. Same for Charles Njonjo, whom will go first. Who are the rest? Same for Charles Njonjo, who was the Attorney General then.
The guy on the left, I think, is Marty.
Is?
There's a guy who was called Marty.
Which guy?
Fred Marty.
Fred Marty?
The one next. The one next to Njonjo.
Next to Njonjo, the tall one?
No.
Which one? This one?
Yes.
It's called who?
Fred Marty.
Fred Marty
was the Speaker of the House.
Of the House.
You're wrong? Which other one?
The rest I don't know.
The rest you don't know.
These are judges, right?
These are judges, yes. So this is in July the 3rd, 1963. And we have Solicitor General.
Is that Kitili?
Yes, that is Kitili.
Mwendwa,
Yes, you're right.
Yeah.
So this is Solicitor General of Kenya since 1964, Kitili Maluki Mwendwa, who was being sworn in as first African Chief Justice of the Republic of Kenya. Then we have the new Chief Justice of Kenya. Okay, we have also, he was being sworn in by President Kenyatta. Also on the right is the Attorney General, Mr. Charles Njonjo. Yes. Then we have Mr. Mwendwa was then 39.
Yes.
And has been Solicitor General of Kenya since 1964, as I've mentioned. As also the Kenya first African Chief Justice and ex-MP for Kitui. I think I didn't have the names of these other guys. I thought I'd actually, so I can't remember this from the caption. I thought I had them on the caption.
I think the one on the right was an Indian, a prominent Indian scholar.
Oh.
Yeah, it wasn't Sharad Rao, was it? No.
Okay.
I can't. You have the list there.
I'm trying to look at my list. I didn't capture the names yet, but at least we know Kitili Mwendwa.
Yeah.
And he was killed in 1985.
Yes.
Through a road accident. So this was way back. At least we have.
The rest would have been maybe High Court judges then.
Yes, the Chief Justice there. So he was sworn in the Attorney General Charles Njonjo, and the rest. We'll give you the names also in the course of a program. I'll try and also put my ducks in the row as well. Right. So this is from the archives, and you can grab a copy of the Daily Nation, a copy of the Standard for these compelling, riveting stories that we have this morning as well. Now, we mentioned that story that is headlined front page of the East African this week. African leaders launched a continental free trade zone on Sunday that, if successful, will unite 1.3 billion people, create a $3.4 trillion economic bloc and usher in a new era of development. At an extraordinary summit in Niamey, Niger's capital, African leaders from the African Union used a hammer to launch 4 operational tools ratified by 27 countries to mark the start of the agreement following 4 years of talks. The agreement to form 55 nations trade bloc was reached in March, paving the way for the summit where Ghana was announced as the host of the trade zone's future headquarters, and discussions were held on how exactly the bloc will operate. It is hoped that the African Continental Free Trade Area, the largest since the creation of the World Trade Organization in 1994, will help unlock Africa's long-timid economic potential by boosting inter-regional trade, strengthening supply chains and spreading expertise. Eritrea, the only African nation not to join, said the government supported the bloc and that it planned to hold talks with AU delegations soon. Africa has much catching up to do. Its inter-regional trade accounted for just 17% of exports in 2017 versus 59% in Asia and 69% in Europe, and Africa has missed out on the economic booms that other trade blocs have experienced in recent decades. Economists say significant challenges remain, including poor road and rail links, large areas of unrest, excessive border bureaucracy, and petty corruption that have held back growth and integration. Members have committed to eliminate tariffs on most goods, which will increase trade in the region by 15 to 25% in the medium term. But this would more than double if other issues were dealt with, according to International Monetary Fund estimates. The IMF, in a May report, described the free trade zone as a potential economic game changer of the kind that has boosted growth in Europe and North America. But it added a note of caution. Africa already has an alphabet soup of competing and overlapping trade zones. ECOWAS in the west, EAC in the east, SADC in the south, and COMESA in the east and south, but only the EAC, driven mainly by Kenya, has made significant progress towards a common market in goods and services. Right, back home, Deputy President William Ruto has called on Jubilee leaders to use internal party structures to resolve deep-seated issues afflicting the party instead of airing dirty linen in public. The DP, who spoke in Eldoret, said those prosecuting the party's issues in public and in the media were derailing their mission of uniting Kenyans. In the meantime, NC leader Musalia Mudavadi, who also weighed in on the divisions eating away at the Jubilee party, said the two warring sides have taken the president hostage. Take a listen.
Najua wewe na rais mlikubaliana tuache siasa mpaka 2022. Sio makosa ya hawa, ni hawa raia. Ukikosa kusema 2022 leo na kesho kutwa unakwenda nyumbani. So utuzamee, hata ukipata rais mwambie atuzamee. Sisi pia tunachunga kura.
Umeona shida yenye tumekuwa nayo kwa chama cha Jubilee, serikali yetu, watu kuleta siasa za migawanyiko. The politics of division. There are those who want to take us to the politics of ethnic balkanization. Ya kuwa tujikusanye kama Wakikuyu, wengine wajikusanye kama kabila fulani, na wengine kama kabila yao. Turudi kwa siasa za miaka ya kale, siasa za migawanyiko.
Anybody who values this country, anybody who values Jubilee Party and the unity that it stands for and the transformation that upon which Jubilee was built will be responsible not to prosecute matters of our party in newspapers on the basis of rumors, on the basis of falsehood, on the basis of propaganda. They should be responsible enough to bring those issues to party structures. Then we can handle those issues and work on the party going into the future.
The person who's handicaping Uhuru is Jubilee. Because Jubilee has brought Kieleweke, and Jubilee has brought Tangatanga. And then in the process, they have handcuffed Uhuru, so that Uhuru is not able to deliver what he has to deliver.
And a day after Nyeri County Commissioner issued a warning to politicians who are believed to associate with outlawed criminal groups, Agriculture Cabinet Secretary Mwangi Kiunjuri also hit out at politicians using the youth to further their interest. He was responding to this incident about a week ago in Gatitu, Nyeri County, when rowdy youth stormed the venue of a public meeting he was in, forcing the CS to make a very hurried speech before leaving the scene. Nyeri MP Gujiri Wambugu had arrived at the meeting minutes later, accompanied by youth chanting Kieleweke slogans. The CS who has been at crossroads amid pressure to support President Uhuru Kenyatta while angling himself to be Deputy President a man in the next general election, saying the use of youth to cause chaos could signal the return of outlaw groups such as the
ikiwa
Mungiki.
mkutano wa waziri itakuwa interrupted, mkutano ya mtu yule mwingine wowote itaweza kuwa interrupted, na hakuna sheria inachukuliwa dhidi ya mtu kama huyo. Hatutakosa kusema na tutarudia leo, kesho kutwa na mpaka mtondogoo, ndio haya maneno yaweze kueleweka na maafisa wale ambao wanafanya ile kazi.
Sikuwa Nyeri kama Mwangi Kionjore. I was in Nyeri as Minister of Government. If a Minister of Government can be attacked, that means directly the government was attacked. So important that we understand whatever is happening today might resort to other bigger things. We had days here in Mount Kenya when we could not sleep because of organized youth. Organized youth who are desperate and can be used against other people.
All right, that and a raft of other issues we shall be discussing this morning. Also on the front page of a Daily Nation, this will pique our interest as well. Leaders, of course, want Uhuru to sack split cabinet. Storm kicked up by an absurd claim of assassination plot against his deputy has revealed the divisions within the president's team of technocrats as politicians wonder, can the accuser and the accused share a table? Can the accuser and the accused share a table? We're holding court this morning with Richard Onyonka, who is a member of the Parliament, Kitutu Church South. Also, we do have with us this morning Herman Manyora, who is our resident political analyst, a lecturer at the University of Nairobi. Also, we do have with us Samuel Pogisu, senator from West Pokot, and Alice Wahome, who is a member of Parliament for Kandara, eagerly awaiting for Jeremiah Kioni to join us also in the course of a program as well. Good morning, gentlemen and lady.
Morning.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Morning,
I'm looking
Chai iko pale.
forward to when you say ladies, gentlemen and ladies.
And ladies.
Yes.
You've started.
That's okay. That's all right.
But let's just begin with what is on the front page of the Daily Nation because of interest of time as well. This has really drawn a lot of criticism, you know, since we had these allegations of assassination by, you know, some quarters of the government, especially the assassination of the deputy president. Do you hold with the view of some of his leaders that now the cabinet, the way it is split, and the president should sack some of the cabinet secretaries? Let's begin with you, Richard Onyonka.
Thank you. Debarl, good morning.
Good morning,
I think, for me, the president is between a rock and a hard place. For the simple reason that you have his party, just the way you've heard Musalia talk.
Yes.
Which is split. You have Kieleweke and you have Tangatanga. The president of the Republic of Kenya is in between him saying, can you people stop this campaign stuff that is going on? And his people, I was actually happy that Senator Murkomen was, you know, Joe Kilamata making his point that, yeah, Mr. President, you are telling us not to campaign, but we'll continue. Please understand that we are going to continue. Then you have cabinet members in the president's own party who have been accused of having planned and organized how they are going to assassinate the deputy president. The matter is in court. I mean, Jubilee is in a mess right now. It's in a total mess. So something has to be done, something very drastic. Either the president is going to actually have a cabinet reshuffle where he's gonna move his people around. I'm not sure whether that will really bring much change. Or indeed, like some people have been saying, maybe the president needs to call Madam Alice and her group of Jubilee and sit on a table and let them tell him what they like and what they don't like, the way he's handling himself. And hopefully, he will make them understand what this handshake thing is about. And maybe the country will then tone down and sort of relax as we try and move on the projects which the president holds dearly and his legacy which he's been talking about. So for me, actually the person who is in a total mess right now is the president himself. I don't see him either way. Even if he has a cabinet reshuffle, the brigade, his brigades will start screaming. If he doesn't have it, they're still screaming. So he's caught in between a rock and a hard place. Finally, I wanted to say I saw something else which is related to this. Yes. Where Moses Kuria, we call him HE. His Excellency, our brother Moses Kuria.
Why HE?
It's a nickname he's running for president, so we have called him HE. And Moses Kuria is now hitting at Prime Minister Raila Odinga. Yes. And he's hitting at DP and telling them that the decibels on the noise
should tone down.
Yes, they should tone down. My argument is, I don't think that the former Prime Minister should tone down. I think the onus lies on the Deputy President, who is the number 2 person, who is the one who is working with the President. If your President tells you to tone down, then you should tone down. And to me, the issues which HE or Moses Kuria is raising about Prime Minister Raila, Raila has not been making a lot of noise. He's not been screaming about the corruption in Kenya, which a lot of Kenyans are blaming him for. I just think that the president needs to sit his troops down, let him take a position of asking them, those who disagree with him, whether they are willing to continue working with him. Those who don't want, let them decide what they're going to do. Otherwise, the country is in gridlock simply because Jubilee is stuck in the mud.
Yes. Jubilee is stuck in the mud, so the country is actually in a stalemate as it is.
Yes.
Do you hold with that particular view, Herman Manyora?
Yeah, before I hold the view or not, allow me, Debarl, to send my condolences to the family of Joka Denge.
Yes.
The football legend. He comes from my place, and to Kenyans, indeed the world. This was a world figure.
This is Vihiga.
Yeah, and actually just from my place. And to tell the family that we mourn with them. This is a man they can't mourn alone. The entire country will mourn with them and stand with them and let them be strong. I think I don't really understand what's going on now, because debate has been a while now, since I and many other Kenyans began asking the president to do something about government. There is nothing more important in administration, even in the ancient times, even in the kingdoms of days gone. The king would always want to know what the people think. And they had a system of doing that, including our traditional chiefs. That's why in places like America, public opinion is very important. They never ignore that. The feeling in this country is that the president is giving the impression of not being in charge. That is the problem in this country. He may be in charge, but you see, politics is about perception. The perception today in this country, if you stop guys in the street, and I'm sure NIS has told him, NSIS, that that feeling is there, the president is not in charge. I know that could be his style. You know, Kibaki has had his style. You think he's sleeping, but things are moving and working.
Yes.
So presidents have their style. So this could be Uhuru Kenyatta's style, President Kenyatta's style. But doesn't remove the fact, Debarl, that there's that feeling. And there's always been the thinking that I share myself. There is nowhere to start more than reorganizing his cabinet. It is not good for a president to make people feel he's not in charge. When you have a cabinet doing the kind of things the cabinet has been doing. Look here, there has never been a president in Kenya's history, I know we don't have a long history, who has been as reluctant to reorganize his government as President Uhuru Kenyatta. It is his style. When we had people like Wario messing us and the rest of these other people, he never touched them. People wondered, they have never seen this before. You know, hata baba yake angekohoa, hata kama angesaka, angekohoa tu na watu wanaingia line. So maybe it is his style, but honestly there is a feeling the hand of the president is. And remember, he took issue with that with Kibaki when he was the leader of opposition. He told Kibaki, you are saying nothing, seen nothing, hands away, not even in or on, but quite away. The hands are not even being seen for him now. His hands are not being seen, leave alone being on or in or anywhere. They are not being seen. It could be his style, but honestly, it is worrying because it is. Do you know what happens in a country when the president is away for a long time, like is in hospital or something like that? People get worried for nothing. Yet government is moving. Everything's working well. People are getting their salaries. Things are just normal, but people are saying, where is the president? A country should never be made to feel there's some gap somewhere. It is his style, but we are advising him, it doesn't appear to be a very good style. Let him keep his style, but make calibration. Let him adjust his style a bit. Let people see his breathing. Let him breathe into statehood. Let him cohort one day and say, I have asked my cabinet today, this morning, to tender in their resignation by 3 o'clock today. I need to recognize my government. He can return quite a number of them. He's good people. But that act alone will make the citizens of this country feel they are really living in a country that has a president where things are working. Things are working. I work for the government. I get my little salary. So things are working. I move in the streets. Nobody beats me. So there's security. So the government is running. But that feeling, it is there. It's always there that people want to see when things like the shenanigans we are seeing.
So it's not really hands-on. We had what we normally call the silent diplomacy of Mwai Kibaki, but
the Kibaki style.
We felt the rippling effect of his leadership.
But even Kibaki, remember in 2005, asked the cabinet to resign.
Yes.
After the referendum.
After the referendum.
Didn't he? Even the Kibaki.
Yes, he did.
Did he ask people to step aside?
Yes.
But
even his very close buddies.
But President Uhuru Kenyatta has done so as well. So some cabinet secretaries have stepped aside before.
That was hiyo ni kitambo pia.
But he's done something before.
We don't remember it.
You don't remember it. Okay, let's hear from Pogiso. Good morning.
Good morning, Debarl, and let me also join Kenyans in mourning the passing of Joe Kadenge Nampira, very well known. So just pray really for his family and for Kenyans. Debarl, you know what we did, which is something we probably regret, is when we decided that cabinet would not come from politicians.
Yes.
And we didn't. We did that, but we did not tell our people that this is going to happen. And so today you can't ask in an exam who is the minister for this and that. You can't. I mean, even kids will not know. But in those days, when ministers were members of parliament, politicians, you would know. Right now, we are looking at some old pictures. We could tell. If you showed us pictures from the past, say, who was that? We can tell you that was somebody was a minister for this and that. We can't tell. We can't tell because by nature, ministers have become like public civil servants. They become like, the former PSs and things like that. They don't have the clout and the energy that they used to go to parliament to answer questions, things like that. So what we've lost in doing that is the understanding of what a minister is. We may call them cabinet secretaries, but they've lost what used to carry, what they would carry with themselves when they went to places. Today, when minister goes to a function, they are, I don't know even the pecking order, which number they are given. It's just like that. It's like, so we needed to, how people are used to having that authority. And so, yeah, for me, let me just say that this cabinet, therefore, which is today's cabinet, not different from the days of when we were there with Kibaki. So don't compare them. You're comparing, onions with tomatoes or something. It was a different kind of ministers. It was a different kind of cabinet. And this is a very different kind of cabinet. This one is hire and you can fire, although you have to use parliament to fire them, if you want president to fire them. So to say that they can be fired, that's possible. President can ask them to leave. The president can ask the parliament parliament can move them out through a motion or and so on. So we want to say that we need to think about helping the president. And the best way to do it is really to try and bring back the kind of cabinet that was recognizable by Kenyans. And that's what we need to do to change. Even members of parliament are trying to see if that can happen, so that we can have ministers selected from among elected officials. But anyway, having said that, this particular cabinet has already been called a disjointed, a divided cabinet.
But what is bringing the division?
It's, well, internally, you can also, already the accusation even about this attempted, or whatever they call it, this letter about assassinating the deputy president has divided the cabinet. And then the thought of this whole cabinet, including actually the very top, is the fact that they are the ones who are dividing the people. Look at this thing called Tanga-Tanga. Look at this thing called Tanga-Tanga and Keleweke. It's very clear what Tanga-Tanga is, and it's very clear what Keleweke is. Now, if you come back and tell us, oh, this weekend, oh, you can't continue divisive politics, and we know who the leaders of the factions are, you find that your actions speak so loudly, we can't hear what you're saying. And I think people just need to come back and say, this is the role of the president, this is the role of the deputy president. Members of parliament, please stop this thing. This is what I keep saying in public rallies. Early campaigns doesn't help us. And yet, every weekend, you use the opportunity to say stop divisive politics to do more politics. You're not even helping.
Right, we'll hear also. But is that particular baby that we have also there, maybe to just discuss a little bit, also dividing maybe the cabinet, right? That is, whose baby is it? Victor is asking. Abuju, Buju. That is Abuju Buju. Lamada recording. So who is really trying to do this? That is Itumbi, the baby, and of course is he the one who are actually splitting this particular cabinet right now, because we had a section of them who were meeting at Lamada. Yeah, I know you can actually allude to Abuju Buju, Alice Wahome. Abuju.
Abuju, I think that's pushing maybe the problem too far, and I really think Dennis is just one small worker in the presidency. And really, if he is the one, and I don't agree he could be the one, then it means the ministers are incapable of handling the ministerial portfolios that they are handling.
He says he has crucial evidence as far as the recording is.
I think that is a separate affair. Let's even start where maybe we were before this issue of Lamada came. We all, I think most of the members of Jubilee, and I hear people like Onyonka talking how we are in shambles, or how, they are celebrating. We had said people who are in NASA and ODM should have no business discussing about the split or the problems, because I think it is there now, they are part of this problem. They are speaking loudly that they are the ones managing the government. So, it will end. It will reach a point where they will not be able, NASA and ODM will not be able to actually push the button, or not the button, the back to any other table. Because, we talked about the handshake, and then said the handshake has not been understood. And these are Jubilee members speaking. The government is under Jubilee, and definitely the leader of Jubilee, the leaders of Jubilee are known. But if we can stop even at that, then it means if there is any problem, the responsibility squarely would obviously rest with them to sort out the house. His Excellency the President, as the party leader, as the government, the president in this country, has a bigger responsibility in ensuring that his party speaks as much as possible in one voice, that the script is the same. And and I have said on this platform, and at the risk of repeating myself, this problem started when people within the party felt that they can respond and talk anyhowly and say whatever they want to the presidency, when they will even accuse the deputy president of things that don't exist, so as to undermine his work. And therefore, when we now want to look at somebody like Itubi here, even this cartoon is also very clear. It has placed Dennis somewhere, I think he is trying to say that Dennis is an employee of the presidency. So if there is a problem in the presidency, you know, as a journalist, maybe he has stretched his imagination too far. But he has a video. That's what he said in court. And that video has audio. You know, it means it has some contents that we need actually to know. But there was a meeting in Lamada of government officials. And that meeting in Lamada is said that one or two of those people meeting there said certain things that did not go well with others. And I think the DCI need to just bring out this information, tell Kenyans whether there is a problem. But even before we reach there, I am aware that this is something that the president can be able to stamp out.
Yeah, but
by quickly calling a meeting. I don't believe, just wait.
Yes.
You have had, you know, his hand is up and he's distracting me.
No. Let her finish, then we take a short break.
No, finish, Madam Alice.
Thank you very much.
My apologies.
Yes, thank you. What I'm saying is that in Jubilee, if we cannot speak in one voice, there is a problem, and we should not bury our head in the sand and say we have no problem. But as a house, we need to meet and sort out some of these things. Talking cross purposes will not help. And the country is expecting leadership from Jubilee, not from any other quarter. What I'm saying is that those who are speaking now louder are a part and parcel of the problems we are having. They are saying they are in the government. They are saying some of the people in Tanga or Kierebeke are in the opposition. And you see also some of those people are saying they are the ones who are running the government. It is not possible. This government is under His Excellency the President. Right, and I think he has capacity to call everything to order.
Right. Honorable Nyoka, just wait a minute. We need to take a short break right now. Of course, when we circle back, we want to actually look at the Jubilee keenly. Has it crossed the Rubicon as it is right now? Will it hold in the foreseeable future as it is? We know also the Deputy President was seeking to have a PG meeting, but that also has been shoved aside. The President saying the country is not in the mood right now of politicking, but of course to make sure that his legacy is shaking into place by fostering development. We want to look at that and the raft of other issues as we take a short break right now. Don't go away. Much more coming up on the other side of a break. You're watching This Is a Point here on Air Live. Is it right? conversation on the cabinet secretary. Should it now be disbanded as it is? Should President Uhuru Kenyatta sack some of the cabinet who are split within his administration? And of course, we were listening from Alice Wahome. We want to give a chance now to Richard Onyonka. I think we were done with you, Alice.
I didn't talk about the cabinet. I would say that if you allow me.
You started with the.
I think I would say that it is not. I don't think we should be able to tell the president sack this, or whatever. If there is a split in the cabinet, then the solution is actually to not to reshuffle, is to actually maybe relieve some of them
from their duties.
But
from your assessment, do you think as it is right now, they can actually deliver with all these divisions and splits that we have?
Actually, my even bigger concern is that some of them, as we are being told by His Excellency not to campaign, some of them are actually doing campaigns. You know, they are doing politicking because some of them are looking forward to occupying political seats in the country. And maybe that's one of the problems and areas that they are also now starting to feel they can even respond to His Excellency, the Deputy President. I think the President may have to do some changes, which changes could even be drop 1 or 2, 3 of them, so that even the others can understand that there is actually a job to do. The country is expecting implementation. It is them who are supposed to assist His Excellency, the President, and the government to implement. So I think there is need for that.
Richard Onyonka, also the Taifa Leo is holding a very interesting splash today.
Yes.
This particular face is tetemeshaing Ruto. It says, atetemesha kambi ya Ruto. That is mamlaka makubwa aliyo nao Kibicho yazua wasiwasi atamvuruga naibu rais kisiasa. And this is just continuing to showcase what is happening within the cabinet holistically, with the principal secretaries as well heavily involved in politics.
In fact, that's where I was coming to. Madam Alice, every time you make an argument about which side has been wronged, for you it is always the side of the Deputy President which has been wronged. In other words, when we are raising an issue, we who are in NASA, for example, or people who are not in Jubilee, for us, first, it is our right as Kenyans to discuss what is happening to the party which is in power, the party which was supposed to have given us some deliverables, the party which had a manifesto. And right now, this party is crumbling. Now, for us as Kenyans, leave alone the fact that we're in NASA, for us as Kenyans, this party has been worrying us. Number 2, we are not in government. The handshake never made Prime Minister Raila to be the Deputy President. He wouldn't want to be anyway. The Constitution doesn't allow him. What we have been telling the team in Jubilee is very simple. Can you stop the noise you people are making and serve Kenyans? For example, Debarl, look at what my friend Oscar Sudi was talking about yesterday. He is basically taking a position on what the Taifa Leo has brought out, where actually he is calling Kibicho names, he is calling CS Matiang'i names, and these are people. Oscar Sudi is not an ODM MP. He's a Jubilee MP. And it was yesterday. It's not like it was last year. It was yesterday. You see, when the president went to Eldoret to go and open the factory, Rivertex, the mood I thought was that people were saying, now let's call a truce. Let us begin to discuss the way forward. Let us make sure we listen to the president. The president has been messaging and saying certain things. But every time, the message that I get from my sister Alice and many of the people who are in the Tanga Tanga movement is that, number 1, they must always discuss Raila. Then number 2, they actually don't listen to Uhuru. When I watch, I mean, I'm a political student. I've been around this country politicking for 20 years. You find Jubilee Tanga Tanga team telling us it's none of our business to discuss what is going on in their party. Yes, it is none of our business, but it is our business to discuss what's going on in our country. We have got nothing moving on. We have got issues which we need to discuss. We have got massive debt. There are so many things that this country requires to be discussed. But every time we look at the way things are going, Debarl, the Tanga group thinks for us. Our agenda is to actually roughshod the deputy president and call him names. That's not what we are interested in. What we are interested in is, you had a manifesto, you went for elections, you then came up and started telling us what you're going to do. In the period of 6 years, can you tell us what you've succeeded in doing? Now, what is happening is the politics is about succession, of course. And that succession is about everybody in Jubilee, the teams in Jubilee, whether it is Tanga or whether it's Kieleweke, what are they fighting about? They're fighting about succession. And for us, what we are saying is, can somebody, Madam Alice, can you people start listening to Uhuru? You are not listening to him. Uhuru is your president, he's my president. Uhuru is the man in charge for the next 3 years. If you people are listening to Uhuru, most probably this noise would not be. And this is what my friend Professor Manyora has said. Today I don't want to say that Uhuru needs to pick the whip. He doesn't have to. What we are saying is, we need to see a semblance of unity amongst yourselves in Jubilee. People need to stop campaigning. People are campaigning every weekend, In fact, now, Debarl, Harambes have become like a manifesto. When Jubilee was launching their campaigns, I don't know that they wrote that the government development agenda will be based on Harambes. It was never there. All right, the issues which we are discussing, if you go to Kisii today, there are roads which are stuck. The money has not arrived. We expect Jubilee to have sorted out these issues. Jubilee is not sorting out these issues. So for me, for anybody to accuse me that I'm happy or Jubilee is collapsing and everything, Madam Alice, I am actually so sad that Jubilee is collapsing. All right. Oh. So I would wish that you people could sit together as brothers and sisters, because you are both children of Jubilee. We in NASA, we are sitting out of the fence. We've been watching and looking what you people are doing. And what you have done is basically driven this country into a gridlock. That is all we are saying.
All right, and that's a probably question that we ask us as well. Has Jubilee crossed the Rubicon? Let's hear from Herman Manyora. You think now Jubilee has crossed the Rubicon as it is right now?
I think before we talk about Rubicon, and that takes us back to Rome, I just want to say that about cabinet. You see, it's not that the cabinet really is engaged in the kind of shenanigans we have been witnessing, including ministers working to DCI, and therefore been meaning their office. Mm-hmm. But a cabinet secretary really is not a small person in a setup. So it's not just that. It's not just about the kind of graft we have witnessed under certain ministries where billions have disappeared into the thin air. It's not just that. It is also sheer incompetence, the lack of capacity of most of the ministers. So that today, if you went even to a good school and asked students to name 5 cabinet secretaries, the first one will be Fred, the second will be Matiangi. you see, the third one will be Monica, the fourth one will be Juma, then they'll be stuck there. They can't even get number 5. Because the ministers are not even there. We don't even know them. So even the ability of the ministers itself is one thing. And it makes Kenyans ask, does the president mean there are no Kenyans who can help him deliver? From whichever grouping. If you want it from Tanga, they are there. If you want from the Kalenjin, they are extremely qualified Kalenjin people. If you want it from Kikuyu, they are there. In whatever sector or tribal, whatever you want, ethnic group, Mlengo, Katika Jubilee, in whichever Mlengo, you will get competent Kenyans. So it makes people wonder, what is the problem? That is the problem about the cabinet. Now, about Jubilee.
No, before you actually head over to the Jubilee also as well, I think there was an important issue that was being raised. Should we revert to, the cabinet secretaries also coming or being selected for ministers? Yeah, I think Parliament, so that
I think I don't agree. I don't buy into that. It's not necessary. We copied this from America, but we made some small mistake. We were told that ministers or cabinet secretaries are not politicians. Nothing could be further from the truth. Cabinet secretaries in America are politicians. It is from the level of undersecretary and assistant undersecretary that you are a professional. But the secretary of, say, Secretary of State, positions held by people like Kerry, a near successful presidential candidate by Hillary Ngueno and Hillary Clinton. So secretaries are politicians because a secretary is the president at that level of ministry. However, under the secretary, there are assistant undersecretaries. You remember the Cohens and the rest of those people. Yeah. Those are now the careers public servants who do no politics, who just work.
But the issue of we having the cabinet secretaries right now who are not independent, they become the lapdog of the executive. You know, they cannot, question some of maybe the policies that are put forward.
I think if you ask me, somebody who is not an MP would be more independent. If you made me a cabinet secretary today, I owe nobody that position. It's just the president has given me to serve Kenyans, and that's what I will do. But if I was a member of parliament for Hamisi, whatever I do, I'll be looking at re-election in the following election. But if I'm a cabinet secretary, I owe nothing to no constituency, like Richard Onyonka would, I'll perform better. And I think it is only in the selection of the type of people that the president has chosen. That is where the problem lies. We've seen some of them completely incompetent.
Thank you.
So when you go to Jubilee, if you wondered about Jubilee, if my time is still there, I think let's not talk about Jubilee. We have a history in this country, and Alice Wahome is aware of this, where a party is put together, you assemble a party to win an election. And immediately after that, that party becomes irrelevant. There was NAC that took Kibaki to power. Because of the dynamics of politics, it couldn't be used in 2007. So they came up with all manner of parties. Finally, they chose PNU. Even within the opposition, there was CORD that brought Raila together with Wetangula and Kalonzo. Come 2017, it became necessary to come up with another coalition, and this time it was NASA. So I am not seeing anything called Jubilee. It's a waste of time. By the time you get to 2022, there will be no Jubilee. It will be there, but in name. So, and I'm sure as we sit here this morning and talk, everybody who matters within the Jubilee outfit is already thinking of some escape route. Parties are being formed. People are talking to existing parties. So do you think Deputy President Ruto is a fool to put 100% hope in Jubilee for 2020? No. He knows Jubilee may be a shell, and therefore he could go to Mashinani or some of these other things that have been formed. So are people like Alice Wahome. They are not thinking of Jubilee 100%. There is alternative B even where she sits here. She knows. She knows when things kikiumana katika Jubilee,
Italipuka.
Mimi nitaenda kapata. Anajua tayari, she has the party. Maybe the certificate is in the breast pocket. you see what I mean? So to ask about Jubilee is a waste of time. There will be no Jubilee in 2022. It will be strange.
So Alice, you've been kissing your joint right now.
I actually don't agree with that's Manyora's. You know, Manyora is seeing ahead, maybe, but I think he may be seeing the wrong side. We have been calling and saying we want to strengthen the party called Jubilee. Because really, as a country, we should not even encourage a situation where a party is formed purely for purposes of taking power, getting the presidency, and then after that, you forget about the people who even worked along with you to put up the government. So in my view, and from where we sit as Jubilee, we have been saying it is time to put Jubilee in order. And
let's leave it at that, in order. I think I jumped Pogisio.
That's
in
fine.
order, you will pick up from there.
Thank you, Debarl. Let me just begin with that statement that Jubilee, in support of Professor Manyora here, Jubilee is a transient party. It was a party for elections. Even the way they came together, it was like a concoction, something to heal, like medicine for that moment. And the disease was sorted. So they now move to something else. I don't believe, that's why it's difficult to bring Jubilee together. It's difficult to actually try and keep it together because the components of Jubilee cannot be kept together. These are all ambitious presidential candidates who are there, who came together. So, and they still have those ambitions. The Jubilee cannot survive in that kind of unity. So even the calling for, you know, a meeting to heal is not possible. It is not possible because these are very, very ambitious people. People are running like the president has already retired. People are already running like that. You know, this is the kind of thing that's going to break Jubilee because the idea of a party is the one like a party that has existed long. KANU is outlasted all these years. ODM has become like the second longest existing party. And of course, even Wiper, by the way, now has become like a real party. So Jubilee cannot even fit among those to qualify as a political party for now. That's why nobody is able to keep Jubilee going. And I really wish you well.
So nobody is able to keep Jubilee going. Where is it coming from? Looking at also that particular newspaper on my split there is at least the deputy president is trying to profile, you know, for a joint meeting, have a PG meeting, but it seems State House, going by what we have as a headline there, is not willing to really have that particular PG. Why is there no PG, at least, is it going over a year right now without you having a PG? When was the last time you had a PG?
Senator,
as a Jubilee party?
Just a small
no,
point.
Let him finish. Let him finish.
I'm helping his argument.
Yes.
You know, when you have somebody trying to negotiate a peace agreement in the Middle East between Israel and the Palestinians, normally there is a request for cessation of hostilities. Then there is always an agreement that people have to behave themselves in a certain manner.
Yes, yes.
Now, you can't have the president's people being insulted every evening, every morning, and then you are busy calling the president and tell him, can we please meet and discuss about how we are going to agree as Jubilee? I mean, there is such a disconnect and a disorganization in the thinking, which means somebody is deliberately creating a narrative. The narrative is very simple. Continue shooting, so hoping that you don't shoot to kill, but then come and negotiate if need be, basically, which is a tactical approach on how you basically hold somebody at ransom. How do you hold somebody at ransom? You say, look, I have my guns ready, I can shoot at you. I might not kill you right now, but the feeling I have is you either negotiate with me, or if you don't, then I set my troops on you. And that is exactly what's going on. So you cannot expect, if you look at that, State House not keen on Ruto's call for a meeting. State House cannot sit and discuss with you. I mean, I'm a politician. My opponent or my friend cannot ask me for us to sit and discuss on a matter which I have raised, or on issues which have been brought by that opponent. And then meanwhile, I have his agents and friends throwing epithets at me and screaming.
Thank you.
Let me continue. I don't even know if you saw that.
Yes, I will lift that
This is how far things have gone. How can a president and his deputy have a secret meeting? I mean, it's not.
That's just supposed to have meetings.
Was it a secret meeting? Yeah.
Well, if it was there. But I'm just saying that, Debarl, what I said.
It was there, but we've not been given a confirmation of what actually was discussed in the meeting.
Yeah, but how can it be a secret?
But is this not speculation, clearly?
Because seriously.
I mean, there are two headlines.
Let me just say that if you look at, I was just saying that if you look at how Jubilee was formed, it was heads of political parties who came together. Those heads still are ambitious in politics, and so you have to bring all those heads together if you want to keep Jubilee going, because everybody had a stake in Jubilee, yes. And they're all scattered now. So who will bring Uhuru and Ruto only formed part of Jubilee? So let me just rest my case there and say that we need to, if Jubilee wants to remain as a political party, they need to go back to the beginning, how they were formed, the components of Jubilee.
So this particular meeting was just Uhuru and Ruto. It is not a PG.
Which is supposed to be normal.
Which is supposed to be normal.
Yes.
It cannot be secret.
How can it be secret?
According to
even
media.
when the President of the United States goes to Camp David for very serious kind of engagement, it cannot be said to be secret. It is it's only high octane. You see,
No.
and Dubai is very difficult for me. to see how Uhuru can say, yes, let's hold the meeting you are talking about, a PG. Because he's happy when things are moving the way they are moving. When nobody knows what is happening next. But to call a PG is to call for order. And whenever there's order, it's not possible to do certain things that you want to do.
Right.
So
that is a
Debarl,
PG. Just a moment, because now we have also Tanga who want to take they want to take on the party leader, which is Uhuru Kenyatta, and demand changes in the party structure, which Hamang is calling now the order.
You see, from that statement of Haman, I'm surprised to hear, some of these people are actually celebrating that there is no order in Jubilee. And in fact, there are some of the people who are, from the way Onyonka Richard here is speaking and my brother Pogisio are speaking, they are part of the people who are discouraging some quotas within Jubilee to stop, not to put the house in order. Why? Because they will be beneficiaries. But they will be surprised and shocked. If and if you look at this, also some of these headlines, I don't know where people are the Star. Then another one is saying State House does not want.
Daily Nation.
The Daily Nation is also saying.
Last week, yes.
It was saying the State House does not want a PG.
Yes.
So you see, when you have those kind of headlines, then the biggest question the country should ask is, what does the president benefit from a house which is not in order? And he's running a government.
Can I answer that?
How does he benefit? If he has said publicly that he will not be running. So for him,
but just a moment.
Let me finish this point. Therefore, I think that people should not then blame even the Jubilee themselves because they are happier that way. Richard is a contradiction himself because he's saying, they would not have a meeting.
But within
on the
Jubilee
other hand,
itself,
he's saying we should actually put our house in order. But within Jubilee, we desire. And even across.
But isn't some court of Jubilee also happy with what is happening?
Those small pharaohs, there are few people who think they are speaking for the president might actually be very surprised to see the president, because the president doesn't need my permission or the permission of those Tanga and Kiereweke to call a meeting, a PG meeting. And I have an obligation as a member of the PG to attend if a meeting is called. So therefore, we will continue saying, because we built Jubilee, we promised Kenyans that Jubilee will be a party that is strong, a party that will deliver on the manifesto. I think we will still continue insisting, and it is our right as a member of Jubilee to demand that actually the president now calls a PG. Indeed, it may reach a point where we go and hold grassroots elections, but the party doesn't belong to us here, the few people who have been elected. The party belongs to the membership. Because people, we even gave cards to members. They are waiting to take over offices at the grassroots, so that from the structures of the grassroots, then you go allowing authority up to the top level.
Right.
So I think that there is still room. I have a lot of faith in our president. He believes in order. How would he not want order? I mean, when I look at His Excellency, he has grown and lived in an orderly society.
Right. You see, Debarl, Alice, my friend, knows this, but she's just trying to pretend. She knows that parties in this country belong to individuals. So that ODM is Raila, and Raila is ODM. The same can be said of any other party in this country. And you can see Musalia Mudavadi fighting with Osozi, who tries to pretend to behave like he can have a share in ANC. He's being told, no, my friend, this is not Iceland. This is Kenya, and this party belongs to Musalia Mudavadi. Please, sit down. Now, what is happening, my friend, is if that were not the case, then we would be having party meetings. That is order. Parties don't have meetings. If that were the case, we would be having party elections. And when ODM tries, all of a sudden, men in black appear. Yeah. Jubilee has never even attempted to try. They have never attempted to try.
They have never held
a
national delegates
so
conference.
What could be further evidence, Alice, that nobody wants order? What other evidence are you looking for?
So we should resign.
Secondly, you ask what the president would gain from not having order. From the 9th of March 2018, the president could not operate with order within Jubilee. If the president had not brought Raila on board, then order would have prevailed in Jubilee. In fact, by now you'll be moving with your PGs and you'll be heading to a 2022 of William Ruto as the president, unassailable. But the moment the president brought in Raila, he can never want order, because he can never achieve what he wanted to achieve if you create some forums where he can be asked the questions. Akimze tuambie, he handshake man. He cannot want that because he has no answers for you.
So then the statement that we must listen, we are not listening to the president. You know, he's saying we are not listening to the president.
You are not.
How then do you listen to the president if the party and the government is in that
He doesn't
kind
have
of
to say it.
disorder?
The president doesn't have to say it.
You know, these people don't operate in
All right,
order.
Alice.
Yes.
But you've been here also saying, you know, when we have this particular PG, the president takes the opportunity to actually talk condescendingly on the party members, calling you names as well, isn't it?
He shouts
So
at
do you want to have another PG where you be called names?
You know, of course we don't expect a PG that people don't have room and space to speak, because then that's not a PG. That is really like a lecture hall. And then therefore, whichever PG we are called now, we need space and place to speak. Okay. And I think that one was a unique PG. That's not what...
It was a unique PG.
That was a unique... There were unique and peculiar circumstances, but that doesn't mean in last term that we are not holding our PG.
It seems the only party which is intact is KANU. KANU is the only party which is intact.
KANU is only one person.
Cannot be broken, and that is not owned by any one person. People come and leave, and the party is there. You know, that's a test of a party.
There's structures.
Is there.
I'm partiless. I want to join KANU. I'm joining KANU.
But you see, Debarl, let's not pretend that we don't know what's happening in Jubilee.
They know more than the Jubilee members.
No. Every weekend we see. Every weekend, even yesterday, even next Sunday.
The same.
They'll be pulling in different directions. We know that. We expect Jubilee to be pulling in different directions and say, let's come together. I mean, let's choose what you want. Do you want Jubilee to come together, or you just continue to pull in different directions? And if it continues that way, people are going to wonder whether there is a political party called Jubilee. So let us go back on the issue that the president has an agenda. And the agenda is, for example, building bridges, the big four, the fight against corruption. How do you know if a party is pulling in many directions? One end is saying, let's do this, let's fight corruption. The other end is not even supporting that. I mean, you can tell that there's nothing on the agenda. When they meet on Sunday, nobody talks about the big four. Nobody talks about the corruption. So how would you know? I mean, why do you want Kenyans not to know, to think that this party is pulling in different directions? So, Alice and others, if you really care about your party, you be on the same page, be on the same side with your party leader. That's what I can advise.
Right. Let's just close on it with Richard Onyonka, and we head over now to another issue.
For me, Debarl, I want to say this. Our country has got a history that has been quite amazing. If you look at what has happened from independence, you come to the period when we had President Kenyatta passing on, and then President Moi took over. You know the issues, and I'm sure Aman Manyora would really articulate this if he was in a classroom, what actually happened when the succession of President Moi came in. My honest observation as we speak is that it has reached a stage, I think there are those who support the deputy president and they feel that there's a likelihood, just the way it happened to Kalonzo Musyoka, just the way it happened to Saitoti, just the way it happened to the former Vice Chancellor, University of Nairobi, is it Dr. Karanja? Karanja, Professor Karanja. The history, I believe, scares those who support the deputy president so much that there's a likelihood he might be dumped by President Uhuru Kenyatta. My position and other people's position has always been, I don't think that is a predetermined cause. I believe that it is up to the deputy president to actually come in and make sure he listens. Any sitting incumbent president would want a deputy who, if he left him the instruments of power, once he's out of office, then he feels he will be secure. I don't think President Uhuru Kenyatta feels secure with the deputy president. And it's not that the deputy president himself is the one who has been articulating that position. William Ruto has not really been against what President Uhuru has been suggesting. It is just that his troops If you listen to the shows that take place on Friday in our funerals, Saturday, churches, and Sunday, and you listen the narrative and listen to it very clearly on what is going on, I do not see Jubilee surviving. Because right now, actually, Debarl, for lack of a better term, it is scary to Uhuru to assume that once his 3 years are over and he's going to hand over power, that he's going to hand over to William Ruto and his troops. Most probably, politically, these guys might decide to lynch him. And the man is worried. If I was him, I would be worried. Because if you have your troops and you are the deputy president of a country, and these troops are insulting your cabinet ministers, these troops are actually calling your ministers kumbafu and those kind of words.
Thank you.
Wouldn't you worry?
Thank you. Wouldn't you worry? Let's hear also what people are saying on social media. We have Hilary Ngasura saying that Richard Onyonka is saying DP and his troops are complaining when he and other Kisii MPs, a few weeks ago, they were pushing Matiang'i to run for presidency in 2022. That's doublespeak. Yeah, this is what Hilary Ngasura is saying. Also, we have Jimmy Gakio saying, Richie, you forget there is Team Wanjiku and Team Embrace besides Tangatanga and Kieleweke. This Jubilee is slowly melting down different functions in one house. Not even prayers facing Mount Kenya will save the tremors in Chupili. Right, that is Jimmy Gakio saying this. Also, Masake Samuel saying, I agree with Honorable Onyonka, Senator Pogisio. Jubilee was a product of ICC. They succeeded and hence can't account for laptop stadiums from Hakuna Kazi to Iko Kazi, Unga at of 65 shillings. And now they're busy with Uhuru Ruto, big fall. They're actually calling it a big fall agenda. And we have also Yusuf saying, who are we talking about? Because he has been absent since the day he asked Wanjiku, sasa mnataka nifanye nini? You, the president, for Christ's sake, show your guts. This is what Yusuf is saying. Also, Nkumum Jackson said, Jubilee PG is no longer tenable in my view. The once vibrant giant party is headed to collapse. That's a reality. We have also Gabriel here saying, it's unfortunate that some MPs from Central Kenya have refused to support the handshake, whereas it's Gikuyus who have suffered post and pre-election violence perennially. And also we have Governor Nyakak saying only Tangatanga of Rift Valley is in trouble. And also Kadurima Mungera saying, but the cabinet is not a major part of Jubilee, what we were discussing earlier as well. So those are your reactions there on social media. But now we want to buckle down also to another issue that is also picking up a lot of flack from the public. Well, Kenyans, here is a new coinage from members of the National Assembly that perhaps will take its pride of place in our public lexicon as well. Don't be fooled by this very fancy entitlement coined domestic subsistence facilitation. A very cushy phrase for simply what it is for. It is just a night allowance. Even after the courts have not had their long-hand judgment on the controversial house allowance, MPs and senators totaling 416, I should say, have devised a new scheme to fleece taxpayers by claiming a night allowance whenever they are in Nairobi to attend parliamentary sessions. Parliamentary business is conducted between Tuesday and Thursday, meaning the MPs and senators can claim the money for 4 nights, Monday to Thursday. They can claim as much as 96,000 each per week and up to 384,000 per month in night allowance, notwithstanding the fact that virtually all of them have homes in Nairobi. And on the days Parliament is not in session between Friday and Monday, the lawmakers are entitled to mileage claims calculated on the basis of a distance between Parliament buildings and an individual's MP's constituency. So they're calling it domestic subsistence facilitation. And I guess this work actually came from the lawyers. They came up with these big words. Alice Oromo will tell us more about this. Domestic subsistence what? Domestic subsistence facilitation. Just a big word for night allowance. Let's just begin with you. We can break down domestic subsistence facilitation.
I'm telling you. You want me to start with MPs?
Go ahead.
You think, you know Debarl. I have said this morning. There's something called public opinion. If you don't read the mood of the public and you are a leader, then you have no business being a leader, honestly. Let me tell you this. When we were working on our constitution, certain things stood out very, very clearly, including the power of the presidency, including the need for some regional form of government, devolution in whatever state. The best, of course, was within the Bomas draft. But something else from Kenyans was the greed of MPs. Kenyans wanted an institution that will tame that greed. You see, that's how Kenyans see it. I don't see it like that. I am one of the people who believe, and I support Francis Atwoli, that we need to pay our MPs well. I agree. In fact, I go further and say we need to pay Kenyans well. And I've said it before. The reason for paying Kenyans well is that the economy will grow, because then you have people who can spend. We have a situation in this country where we don't have spenders. So that as people steal money and put up these malls, you realize the occupancy rate is very low, because there are no Kenyans to spend money, and to save to spur economic growth, because it is from savings that investors borrow and create investments which create jobs, and that cycle continues. So I have no problem with MPs earning more money, except we must ask ourselves, in what economy are MPs asking the kind of monies they are looking for? What kind of economy? What kind of Kenya is that? Where people are dying from hunger, where the levels of poverty are alarming by even UN standards and our own Bureau of Standards. How much do Kenyans live on in a day? In a country where over 80% have a nightmare when somebody is sick in the family. You see what I'm talking about? With a country with one of the highest, if not the highest, unemployment rates in the world. Are you getting what I'm saying, Debarl? A country like that, when you are a leader, you ought to be sensitive enough to know you cannot ask for money in the manner in which they're asking for money. You just to be reasonable.
Right.
So it's like our MPs have gone mad, because they are just. You see what a mad person is? Do you know the definition of a lunatic? And I want these MPs to hear. A lunatic is he who is out of touch with reality. A person who sees a house and says, that is my house, a good house. He's not in touch with the reality. So our MPs are lunatics, because they are not in touch with the realities. They need money, and I support them. Right. But honestly, in what country are they asking?
Richard, are you a lunatic?
I would want to say no.
Are you a lunatic?
I totally agree with Professor Manyora. I think President Uhuru should not sign this bill, for the simple reason that we have a matter in court. This matter is being sorted out through SRC, which has taken us to court. In fact, my feeling is, and I'm not saying this to make Kenyan public think I'm different from the rest of the MPs. Like Professor has said, many of us have been saying, no, give us the house allowance. It is okay for me to get my mileage, because I travel to Kisii every weekend or every 2 weeks, depending on sometimes I fly down. And the issue of getting a loan to purchase a house does not necessarily mean that I could afford the loan, because we don't have time to discuss the details of that. But for me, if this was to pass, then it means you are actually preempting the case which is already in court, which is supposed now to be adjudicated at the Court of Appeal. My feeling is that if I was a commissioner with the Parliamentary Service Commission, this should have been stopped until when the court can give a ruling for us.
But how will it be stopped? Because I'm given to understand this has already reflected in your accounts, as in backdated to 1 month.
No, this was given to us before the court case.
This night allowance?
Yeah, no, I've not received
No, we're not discussing the 200. We're discussing this night allowance.
I have not received any
night run.
I have not received any night.
And we're given to understand that this is just a safety net, because most of you are maybe feeling there's this particular case that is in court right now will not be favored, will not actually be ruled in your favor. SRC will take the day. So this is acting like a safety valve.
I don't think that President Uhuru would sign this into law. So to me, and I have not received this money, I'll be very honest with you, Shaba. My point is, we need, like Professor Manyora said, and all our colleagues, Senator and Madam Alice, we are always being demonized because of the money issues, and we get paid the largest amount of money in the world, blah, blah, blah. But for me, to be honest, where we were, what we are waiting for is for the case to be adjudicated on the house allowance issue. This I did not even, in fact, on Thursday, because I had a matter to deal with in the afternoon in committee, I did not attend when this, and you notice that the amendments were brought at the last end, tail end of this debate on the floor of the House. I don't think that President Uhuru is going to pass this. I don't believe so.
Okay.
But this is not truly a bill. This is actually...
No. There is a bill.
There is a bill.
There
bill?
is a Parliamentary Service
bill.
Commission
Yes.
bill.
That is the amendment which was brought.
Which has nothing to do. It's not really. It's not premised on the basis that it's the one bringing in the house allowance. The Parliamentary Service Bill is restructuring the way the commission that runs the whole parliament operates. It has issues of staffing, it has issues of top management.
But that's it.
So
I don't want to...
including, of course, whatever allowances that the MPs may get in terms of facilitation, because there are those allowances that the Parliamentary Service Commission determines.
But I struggle to understand then how you actually are getting these monies, even with that particular 250,000.
We have no money. The money was stopped by the court.
When this particular bill has not even been enacted by the president.
Let me.
What mechanisms are they using?
First and foremost, Debarl, when you come up, and you are the worst enemies of Parliament. When you come up, not you, the media.
The media.
The media, including the nation where we are now. Look at this. You are scoring the house of greed. You are calling a whole arm of government, the whole legislature, that really is the fabric that supports all government proposal, a house of greed. So everything else that we do is a house of greed. And I don't want to speak when you are not listening to this one, Debarl, because the breakdown here, why we are a house of greed, is that sitting allowance of Kenya shillings 5,000 to 8,000. Yes. What is that peanut? That money, if you go to all the public bodies in this country, nobody gets 5,000, 8,000 as a sitting allowance. Then Manyora, you are saying a house allowance of 250,000. That was stopped by the court. It was not there. It was stopped by the court. Yes. We are waiting for the court to determine.
Next.
And every public servant in this country receives an item called house allowance.
Next
Manyora, because you called us a house of lunatics.
I'm acting Debarl,
and when you are in the university,
yes,
you were getting house allowance.
Continue.
Mortgage benefit of 20 million. That is a loan. That if every MP has an option to apply, take it, and repay within 5 years, unlike any other employee in this country.
That's Saturday. I seem to have lost my paper. Just continue.
Yeah. I was taking.
You have to pay your mortgage. Then mileage, I personally, like Aris Mudhoni Wahome, all these constituencies near Nairobi, we pay our own transport mileage. We don't get, because they assume to go to Kandara, I can be able to finance that, either walk. I don't know how I'm expected to come from Kandara. Sometimes I go twice a week. And my constituents, if they don't see me, and then they see me here on this, in fact, you should stop calling me here Debarl, because they think now I'm prosecuting my case.
They think you pay us, by the way.
Yeah, to be here. I'm doing public duty, but now when they see me...
Please, Mama Alice, please, Debarl, tell Kenyans when we come here, you don't pay us.
You don't pay us.
Of course I don't pay.
It's a public duty. You want to hear what we are saying, but my constituents, if they don't see me on Sunday, then they see me here today, they think that I'm playing them games.
So next allowance, I want to respond.
Which other allowance? The car maintenance, 356,000. You can imagine, let's say Pogishu has to go to his...
One trip only.
356, it's to maintain and service his car.
Insure it.
And this money, you subject it to taxation, Debarl, 356, taxation of 31%.
Can I respond to
So
this?
you simply get about 286,000.
The viewers want a response.
Now, wait about the viewers. You are messing up our viewers. Our viewers are our voters, and you are telling them we are a house of greed. I take great exception to actually the nation continued attack on the legislature, Debarl. And can you advise, and I think the editors in this country of the nation should change this narrative.
Thank you.
Because you are insulting the members of parliament. Even if now the night allowance subsistence is now the last issue. that you are talking about, we haven't even seen it. But it'll assume that I'm in Kandara and I'm here for 3 days, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. And my constituency is Kandara, am I going to live in the streets of Nairobi? Or where do you want you people?
But the same many of you,
to
you have houses in Nairobi.
Hold on. Who said we have houses? Like, who said we have houses? Those are our families' homes. I mean, and are we supposed to use our families' homes as it's so paramount, and the country actually wants MPs to pay for
how much?
Now,
to pay for their housing or
first
what?
of all,
as Pogiso responded to this.
And don't be bringing
I wanted
this
to respond
subject.
on behalf of the...
Actually, I had said I will not discuss this because of the
let me
headline.
just weigh in, and then he answers all of them because he's responding. Yeah. But by the way, Debarl, I think also headlining, and I think of course
it's very bad.
It's very bad. You know, greed, MPs greed, all that is headlines everywhere, and yet we don't determine our own salary. We don't determine our own allowance. Even that's not true. We don't determine our own salary. And so when the SRC challenges one aspect of the allowance, that is what goes on. That's their role. And they should be allowed to work with the commission, which is
But why do you frustrate the RC if they challenge part of your salaries and
but that's what
It's
goes
a
on.
commission.
Negotiation.
You cut their budget.
Commissions negotiate with each other.
Commissions, not
And
us.
so
Yeah.
we that's way of negotiating.
They should
And so
apologize.
they should continue to work that way. And they have a right to go to court like they have done. Parliament takes lawyers to the same. The court, if the court forms an opinion, we'll go by that decision. So I think the whole idea, and then the allowances are listed, are repeated as though we are getting a house allowance at the same time claiming night allowance. In any case, it's nothing like a night allowance. So surely it is what's the night allowance?
There's nothing like night allowance.
Night allowances is when you travel out of your station. So they should give us a better name for at least for that, even though we haven't received it, but it cannot be called a night allowance. Now you can already hear people saying night runners allowance, and you know this is you see. So
no, we should be
you know, I think we should be given this thing about attacking MPs everywhere, and these are your representatives, by the way. These are the people who are the face, who make your who stand for you, and so let them also be. The other thing which I wanted to say was that all salaries of public servants, if you look at them, just don't focus on MPs. Just go to the Professor Manyora, go to anybody in the public service and see how they have been enhanced, how the house allowance has been enhanced, how they are getting mortgages at the same rate as everybody. It's just that the MP's mortgage is being singled out.
But Kenyans lost trust with the parliamentarians
when
we had just a moment when we had the issue of taxation, especially on the fuel levy, and we were really banking on Parliament to try and intervene. And we saw a divided, a divided Parliament then that was actually keen on their own, but not the people. Right? Let's hear from Muhammad.
I'm going to hide them, but remember, MPs are like any other family. MPs have families, they have children. Sometimes you forget where the MPs come from. They are an ecosystem that you just look at an MP and you deny them things that their children.
Let me hear from
Can I just
I
a
want to
second? Then he responds to all of them.
So Hamad will finalize.
Yes. The other issue I wanted to raise, and I think Kenyans need to know this. A member of parliament, once you get the car, you maintain it yourself, you take care of it, you buy tires for it, you insure it, and you pay the driver. The drivers we have are not employed by the Kenyan government. It is this money that we use to pay our driver. So even when the only disclaimer I would want to make is that this night allowance thing you're talking about, I know nothing about it, I've not received it. All these other money, I agree with it. The second point, we are the only people who are employed. I can tell you, yesterday, on Friday I went to the bank, and I was shocked that there are new regulations with my bank. They are saying that we are the highly something political people, that now we have to sign special forms for them to monitor our behavior in terms of which money we get, whether you're getting, now we can't even get overdrafts.
High risk.
Yeah, high risk, thank you. That's what the manager told me. I was shocked. Kenyans need to understand, we are not asking for more. We don't want to be paid more. Like Professor Manyora has said, we understand the mood, we understand the public mood, Kenyans are suffering and all that. But surely, let not Kenyans think that when somebody is given 20 million for mortgage, that is free money.
Yes.
This is a loan you must pay in 4 years.
In the time you hire.
In the time you're in parliament. And out of the salary of 640,000 that we get paid, that money after taxes, it comes down. Then how you want to pay this mortgage?
But you're not telling Kenyans that also you get it on a very subsidized rate at 3%.
actually-
No,
Can I respond? Let me now respond.
yeah, you respond.
Let me respond on behalf of Kenyans.
Yes.
These are honorable members, and we have elected them. But you see, they should not worry. Alice, don't worry that you are being people are focusing because you are politicians. Even the judiciary, the days of Gladys Boss-Cholet, you remember they were having sittings almost every minute at 80,000 per sitting, and they will have several. And some will even be taking place when a judge is supposed to be in court, and yet they are earning the. You know, remember that kind of thing. Even the judiciary is messing. It's not just you, including the courthouses they are building across the country. You look at a courthouse and you say, "This is 800 million." Say, "God, where am I living? What's wrong with this country?" So the focus is on you because you are supposed to be the leaders par excellence. As an MP, you are my representative. The judiciary can mess, but I'm banking on you to check the judiciary from messing. That's why the focus is on you. Look here. The problem is the perception. I've said you need money, but because you the salaries and whatever commission has kind of blocked you from getting what you would get directly, you are coming up with all sorts of games. And the Kenyans are saying, "Look here, we are not fools."
Yes.
These are all games, including night running allowance, whatever. They know you are trying to go around the provisions by SRC.
Yes.
And I think the bar we are getting to a place where we must abolish the Parliamentary Service Commission. Let money be paid to MPs from somewhere else. We cannot have a Parliamentary Service Commission.
But will that fly?
Another
because
thing we
that
must,
takes a,
before I'm
amendment
going to
of the
respond,
Constitution.
I'm giving cue so that I'm not just criticizing. That's number one. Abolish Parliamentary Service Commission. Let your salaries come from somewhere else, like mine comes from somewhere else. Number two,
Abolish all commissions.
some we shall abolish. Number two, a question of housing, house allowance. Now you want the house allowance, you want the night running allowance. I've done some little calculation in the bar. With about 30 billion Kenya shillings, we can put up a village or a home for members of parliament.
We've been asking
because
for
all
that.
government needs to do is to allocate land for that.
Yes.
Where we can put about 500 houses.
Yes.
You get it? We shall use National Youth Service so that the cost of a house will be about 20 million. I've calculated. And all we need to do is just do what the Constitution wants us to do.
How much you say?
Which is about 20 million per house.
Per house.
I've calculated. And since you are using national NYS also, you are using public works, you are building on government land somewhere, it will be at 20 million, thereabouts, to about 30 billion shillings, 20 something billion to 30 billion. Where do you get this money? Abolish CDF. So 1 year's provision for CDF. CDF is illegal, it's unconstitutional. The money allocated to members of parliament for CDF, 1 year's allocation is enough to put up these houses for MPs.
Negative.
So that is a cure. No. Let me finish.
Okay,
Let me just finish.
Let him finish. We're about to wind up as well.
Let me just finish. It's how much?
6 billion.
6 billion?
Yeah.
In one term, how much is that?
Every year.
One time is how
That's
much?
the only money that is
One time
reaching
is
your
30 billion.
grandmother
That is
in
the
the
money you're
village.
getting.
Yes.
All right.
And you
Listen.
cannot abolish
Okay.
CDM.
Listen, let me finish. I know I have felt around now.
We're supposed to
Let
wind
me
up.
finish.
You can't.
Let me finish.
1 minute
And
to go.
disconnect
1 minute to
Yes,
finish.
yes,
CDF
I'm
from
saying
MPs.
one term.
Alice, just give,
what
let
I'm
him have his
saying, the money allocated to you for one term is sufficient to,
for
to
5
put up
years.
here.
Okay.
For 5 years.
I meant one
Okay.
term to
That's
put up that village, and we forget.
Thank you.
Secondly, now I'm not finished. I have to finish.
We've got to wind up.
I know.
Yes.
On behalf of Kenyans, you are the only people who are paid sitting allowance for doing the job for which you are employed to do, and for which you are paid a salary. Is that right? Sitting allowance. Number two, house allowance. According to SRC, and I'm challenging SRC if they are listening, they should be listening to such a programs. Come up and explain to Kenyans what was done in 2013, where you told us you have calculated the salaries for an MP in such a way that there is a provision for house allowance in that salary. Come and explain to Kenyans. If that is the case, you don't deserve house allowance.
As an
Finally,
package, yes.
even within that house allowance, you must also look at it in terms of what are people getting in this country. If you get a house allowance of 250, let me tell you here, that's not even the basic salary of a professor at the University of Nairobi. An old professor who has been a professor for like 30 years.
Thank you.
That's not their basic house allowance.
Right.
So that's what I'm saying, being sensitive to what's going on in the country.
Thank you. All right, I'm surprised that as we're winding up also that because we have sources in Parliament Service Commission who confided to the Saturday Nation that MPs have come up with a new allowance as a safety net in case the controversial housing allowance is stopped by the courts. So this is something which is well known. It's not really coming from the left side. And we have also a senior member of the National Assembly who did not want to go on record for fear of being rebuked by his colleagues, expressing surprise that we knew of the new allowance. How did you get to know that? That is a very sensitive issue, which will dent MP's image. You contact Speaker Justin Muturi and Eden Kenyan, he said as well. So I'm surprised you do not know. I'm surprised Alice doesn't know. I don't know if this is also within the remit of the Senate as well, and if it's the National Assembly, I think it cuts above.
We don't know. Actually, we are waiting for Parliament to tell us how we shall be coming to Nairobi after the house allowance has been
stopped.
So stopped.
But how have you been operating over the years? How have you been operating over the years?
We have been suffering.
Maybe we should attend this.
Three-quarters of our colleagues are destitute.
All right. Thank you so much. I need just to wind up also with some of you remarks that we have on social media as well. This is still a developing story, and of course we're going to keep our eyes peeled on this as well.
Even as you finish the bar, my calculation tells me the members of Parliament are lying to us. It is not 6 billion per year.
CDF.
If you get an average of 100 million for CDF, that's about 30 billion per year.
See, we get 30 billion, about 30 billion.
It's about 30 billion. Why are you lying to the country? 6 billion.
Let's leave it at that. Let's leave it at that.
Apologize to Kenyans.
No,
okay.
Please
Thank you. We need.
The money you get in a year is enough to put up houses for you.
The money you are referring as CDF is not our money. It's our constituents' money. You know, you are speaking as if it's our family's money.
Is it not CDF?
No.
We don't take it to our houses.
We don't take it to our homes.
We don't take it to our houses.
Don't bring that.
We don't take it to our CDF.
We need to wind up. Okay. Thank you very much.
Manyora should be
just overreacting because your salary is not an MP salary. You go and run to be MP.
Okay, Onyanka, thank you very much.
And you must support me.
I know these are very emotive issues for the parliamentarians. We'll leave it at that.
I had calculated now.
Lukman Mohammed says, just think of it, if all Kenyans are to be paid night allowance, if the MPs feel their salary is not enough, please let them resign. All of us who could have been paid night allowance, then what next? This is what Lukman Mohammed is asking here.
You know, it's like we are going for a disco.
Okay, it's not but it's a domestic subsistence facilitation.
Use the word subsistence
facilitation.
Means survival.
Survival. These people are not.
You're a survivor. You're hustling.
Hustlers.
A hustler wants $1 million shillings per month. You are indeed a hustler.
Well, that's Nicholas. You'll be watching AM Live. This is the point here on, of course, AM Live. And I thank you for your valued company and your reactions on Twitter as well. Let's meet tomorrow also on People and Politics.